I forgot to look at the dates. Let me just look at the dates for a second. The last dates. Okay, there you go. The Syracuse Board of Zoning Appeals meeting of March 11th, 2021 is now in session. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from the February 18th meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved, Mike Cheslick.
I'll second, Mike Stanton.
Okay, any modifications or discussion?
You know,
All
can you guys hear me? We cannot do that because only 3 of you
Oh, okay.
out of were at the last meeting. Karen wasn't there, so we can't not approve these. Or we cannot adopt the resolution either.
You sure Karen wasn't at the last meeting?
Yes, she couldn't get in, and we ended so quickly that she
Right, I remember now. Okay, then we can't approve the resolution either. So I'm going to go right
Correct.
to the board will now conduct the public hearings on today's agenda. First, the applicant or the applicant's representative will state the reasons for the requested variance and present any material or documentation which is to be considered regarding the proposal. Next, persons wishing to speak in favor of the proposal will be given the opportunity to address the board. Then persons who wish to speak in opposition will be allowed to address the board. Finally, the applicant or representative will be given the option to make any closing arguments or comments to the board. Following the public hearings this afternoon, the board may make a decision on each application heard. The board may also decide to hold its decision until the next public hearing. If the hearing is closed, no additional information will be allowed into the record, except for the information that the board may request. That information will be available for public review at the zoning office in City Hall Commons. Staff will now introduce our one application for the day.
Okay, the first application and only application is V8515M1. It's a use variance modification for a property at 454 James Street. The proposal is to expand.
Lisa,
Oh, I'm
you're
sorry.
looking at the wrong one.
Sorry, the first public hearing is V2102. It's an area variance to waive required parking at 1011 to 1013 Park Street. It's a proposal to establish a restaurant and 2 dwelling units. Property owned by Hassan Muse and Salat Muse. The zoning is local business class A.
Okay, I'm going to ask the applicant or the representative to make a statement. Anybody who speaks should first say their name and say their address, please. Thank you.
You're on mute.
Okay, we'll start over again. Bill Pitcher of Pitcher Architect, 124 Fiegel Avenue, Syracuse, New York, representing the owner. The property is a 19th century wood frame house that's been through several renovations, a house, a bar, and it's presently 3 apartments. The owner wishes to convert one of the apartments to a hot food takeout establishment, and the building would then be configured as 2 apartments and 1 commercial space. The property is subject to the residential parking requirements and to the additional parking requirements of the special permit. The neighborhood is typically 1890s to 1920s development. During that period, typically streetcars and relatively low rates of automobile ownership were common, so private driveways in this neighborhood are not common, and walking to the corner store was a common occurrence for the residents. The zoning code of the 1970s envisioned more suburban style development with a segregation of commercial and residential neighborhoods and a much increased use of individual automobiles. So the parking requirements, the visual screening requirements are appropriate to a new construction, a new restaurant, where you have patrons that are parking for an hour and a half, high traffic volumes. We believe the current neighborhood functions more like the streetcar neighborhood and thus has reduced parking requirements to continue functioning. We also expect that most of the customers will probably be walking to the establishment. This is an immigrant neighborhood, and ethnic food is going to be the main provision for the restaurant. For these reasons, we're asking for waivers for several requirements. On the parking, one of the problems we have is with the building code. When you do a change of occupancy in a building, you have to meet all the code requirements that are currently in force. And one of those code requirements is a 3-foot wide exit pathway for the apartment to the street. And given the narrow driveway, parking, putting a car within that driveway, we can't maintain a legal exit pathway. So that was one reason for proposing to abandon the driveway and making it a service alley, pedestrian service alley. The other part of the problem is that the lot is very small. There isn't sufficient room in the back parking lot to park 2 cars or 3 cars and still have a turning space. So on-site parking was really constricted by the existing physical condition of the property. So we are asking for a waiver of the off-street parking requirements. Another issue was the screening between the business property, which this is business property, and the residential property, which is the property behind it, which faces on Division Street. So on the drawing, you'll see that we have a proposed 6-foot high stockade fence along the rear property line and the left side property line, but we're stopping that fence at the building proper. Even though the code says the fence should go all the way to the front yard. The first floor of the neighboring building is basically a brick wall with 2 boarded up windows. So providing visual screening at the first floor really doesn't make much sense. So we're asking for a waiver to omit that portion of the fence. Then the final question, the front screening, there's a requirement in the special permit to provide the 8-foot wide planter buffer in front of the building. The problem is we only have about 2.5 feet between the building and the city's right-of-way. We do propose to put plants in there, but we're not proposing to put any planting within the city's right-of-way. And per DPW's request, we are substituting concrete sidewalks for the patio pavers we have previously requested. We believe those are all the necessary variances for this proposal, and I turn it over to the board for questions of the owner or myself.
Okay. Who has the first question?
I would just like to clarify, this area variance is only for the required residential parking. Other items that Mr. Pitcher is talking about are the purview of the Planning Commission with respect to the special permit and screening.
So only the residential parking.
Right.
Okay. I recall reading that you don't, well, you said it too, that you expect more foot traffic than anything.
Correct.
Questions?
Mike Stanton, it looks like we have the business owners here. Could they explain what kind of traffic they expect to the restaurant and whether it'll be by car or foot?
Please say your name and address before you talk, please.
Yeah, my name is Hassan Muse. I'm the owner of the property and trying to do the business. So we expecting our customer to buy car and walk in by foot. So, and it's gonna be in and out. So for the food that we're serving,
Takeout.
it's gonna be take out. It won't be that long of waiting or anything at all. So
No seating at all?
No.
no seating here.
Okay. I looked at the menu. It looks delicious.
One complaint we've heard about from other similar businesses is that there will be trash now. People take out food, they drop their wrappers on the sidewalk. Is there any way you can address that?
We'll be looking at all that our this on the front line. We'll be cleaning, picking up anything like on the area.
What will be your hours? What days and what hours?
It will be 6 days a week, and it start at 9 to 9 to 9. 9 to 9. 9 to 9:30. Yeah, to 9. Yeah.
Other questions?
Yeah, just curious, will any of you be living in the building?
Just for us owners, no other tenants.
Oh, so you're occupying the building and you're not renting it out?
Not renting it. Yeah.
Okay, both.
Yeah, up
departments.
there.
Yeah. As like our owners, like my brother, he lived there. So yeah.
So the owner occupied.
Yeah.
Okay.
Owner occupied.
Do you live there now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, they didn't.
No, my brother, the second owner, Salat Musa, he lived there. Salat.
Okay.
So again, you are going to have 2 apartments and the store, is that correct?
It's just the first floor where it's gonna be the store, and the second floor it will be really residential.
Yeah, our floor plan shows 1 apartment on the first floor, the commercial takeout on the first floor, and a second apartment on the second floor.
Right, so there's 2 apartments and one's on first floor, one's on the second floor. That's what I saw.
And the spaces required are 1 for each of the residential units. There's no parking requirement for the business.
Yes, there is for the restaurant, but that's the purview of the planning commission. So they could not act on the special permit because a waiver was necessary for the residential units. So this is only to talk about whether or not it's appropriate to waive the required number of parking spaces for the residential units from 2 to 0.
Right, and Mr. Pitcher, you're saying that what's the state of street parking in that area for within a block or 2?
Well, I did prepare 3 letters, 1 for the adjacent property owner to the left, 1 for the residential property owner behind, and 1 for a parking lot on the far side of Division Street, asking whether or not they would rent parking spaces for the apartments, and we've received no responses. So there's no.
But my question was, what's street parking like now?
It's basically odd even.
Uh-huh. And are there spaces? Is it every day?
It looks like maybe half the block during the daytime hours is when I've been over there. So maybe half of the block is parked up during the daytime. I don't know what happens after dinner when everyone comes home.
Mr. Moose,
Yes.
Your family will be living in these 2 apartments. How many cars do you have?
It's not a big family, so it's just 1 person, and it is 1 car there.
Okay, but you say 1 person, but there's 2 apartments. So
the first floor is really we just waiting for the business, so no one's there. No one live there.
Okay, I want to understand this clearly. No one's going to live in the apartment downstairs?
Downstairs, yeah. No.
What are you going to use it for?
This space we just use for storage, put our stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not the way this was presented to us, was it? Is that relevant, Heather?
Yes, it really is. What will
Yeah.
be stored there? Why, yes, you need more details on that. What is
Right.
storage?
So,
Okay,
Uh,
what he's trying, okay, my name is Khadija Mills, his sister, and I will be his business partner too. What he's trying to say is the fourth apartment on the fourth floor, it will be like, once we get the permit, we will be making space and connecting it together for the restaurant.
I think
okay,
And then,
but the
Just
way this
one
was,
second. All right, so you're saying that the store is going, the restaurant will be expanding and there will be no residential unit on the first floor?
there will be no residential unit on the fourth floor, because
Okay.
once,
I'm going to consult with my attorney, but I don't think this application is appropriate at this time, since the information that you're giving now is contrary to what is presented and what was advertised for a public hearing. So I'll let Catherine confirm that, but it doesn't seem appropriate at this time, given the information that you've just said.
your
once,
application states that it's 2 apartments, residential
Yes.
apartments. And maybe you're saying we can use that in any way we can, but that's a different use. I mean, Mr. Pitcher should know this.
There was some discussion about future
Yeah.
expansion,
yeah,
but that was very late in the project, and the real question is, what is the maximum parking requirement for the property? And if they're not going to rent the apartment, that's neither here nor there. Any expansion would be a future
yeah,
application.
future.
It'd be a future special permit modification.
Let's hear from our counsel on this. What are you thinking, Catherine?
I think that is something that we have to confirm exactly what the use is. I was unclear as to whether it's going to be used for your personal belongings, like as a storage for that, or storage for the business. So I don't think that, but I think that we do need to clarify and have plans that reflect exactly how it's going to be used. And in that case, I would at the very least recommend holding this public hearing open until the next meeting to get that clarification. And if need be, you can consult with your design team, but you may have to withdraw and resubmit, just to be reflective of what is actually reflected.
Yeah,
what you need to do.
We thought we were dealing with the two apartments, and an apartment to us is a place where people live. So that's got to be clarified. And I think Mr. Pitcher can help you with that and deal with the city with that as well. So we're going to, should we make the motion now to keep stop and keep this open?
You should make the motion to hold, but we should call for anybody who may have come to speak for and against, to give them that opportunity.
Okay. Fine. So is anybody here, but besides the family, is anybody here to speak in favor of this application? I see Emily Strickland and Nikolai Tubbs. Are either of you here to speak at all, either for or against the application?
No, I'm just a student here.
Me too.
Okay, and Emily?
Me as well.
Okay, no, so there's nobody. So is there a motion from the board to hold the meeting open?
I will so move.
I'll second Mike Cheslick.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I assume there's no discussion. So, okay, so you're gonna have to work this out. I think Mr. Pitcher knows what he needs to do, and if the family needs some explanation, I'm sure you'll be working with them. So with that, Heather is sharing content. We have authorizations, 2 authorizations for April 1st, V8515 at 454 James Street, V2016, 120 and 112 Inverness Place. Is there a motion to accept the authorizations?
Mike Cheslak makes a motion to accept the authorizations for next time.
Is there a second?
I'll second Mike
Okay,
Standen.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that's everybody. Motion to adjourn.
Mike Cheslak make a motion to adjourn.
Mike Stanton, second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned and see you on April 1st, everybody. Be